You back the tractor up to a used 5-foot cutter sitting nose down in the weeds, you drop the pins, and you tell yourself this is the easy part of owning land. Put the wallet away. You are about to spend $900 solving the wrong problem, and the part that hurts you is not the sticker on the deck. It is the thing spinning under the shield that you did not measure, did not grease, and did not match to the tractor under your seat. I learned this behind a dealer counter in the Midwest, matching implements to small and mid-sized farms for more than 20 years. And the rotary cutter is the implement people get the most wrong with the most confidence. They walk in measuring price and width. They walk out with a mower that fits the arms and fights the tractor. Here is what this is really about. The mistake almost every tractor owner makes with a rotary cutter is not the hitch, not the brand on the side, and not the color of the paint. It is choosing a width, a weight, and a driveline the tractor cannot honestly run all afternoon. On the ground, you actually mow. By the end of this, you will know the 4 checks that decide whether you bought a tool or a future repair bill. Ron's Equipment, a dealership that sees these calls every week, puts ignoring your implement near the top of the common mistakes new tractor owners make. That is the quiet truth of the rotary cutter aisle. The tractor gets the love. The cutter gets a glance, a tape measure across the deck, and a credit card. I have heard the same line at the lot 100 times. A buyer in a buyer's group on Facebook says it out loud about a 6-foot Ironcraft cutter sitting around $2,000. There isn't much that can go wrong with one of these. That sentence is the whole mistake compressed into 10 words. The rotary cutter looks like a box with blades. The trouble is not in the box. The trouble is in the relationship between that box and your tractor, your ground, and your patience for repair. So let me walk you through it the way I walked owners through it at the counter, in the order the field actually tests you. The first overlooked variable is width. You see a 6-foot cutter for $2,000 next to a 5-foot cutter for less, and the math feels obvious. More deck, more done, fewer passes. What you are really buying is more mass swung behind the rear axle, more blade tip out in the brush, and more demand on the power takeoff the moment the load gets thick. A rotary cutter recommendation thread I keep coming back to says the right mower depends on how hard you work it, what you are mowing, and what tractor you are using. Width alone is too thin a question. The honest question is whether your tractor can pull that width through the worst material you actually own, not the lawn edge daydream you are picturing at the dealer. The second variable is weight, and this is where the seat lies to you. From the operator's seat, the tractor lifts the cutter, the 3-point arms come up, and the brain says, "Petit." The arms lifting it does not mean the machine is happy carrying it. On a slope, with a heavier deck hanging out behind, the front end gets light. The tractor steers like it is floating because in the parts that matter for steering and braking, it is. I will not give you a horsepower per foot rule, because the supplied manuals are the only honest source for that. And your tractor's manual and your cutter's manual will tell you the truth your tape measure cannot. Read them before the credit card, not after. Now here is the turn. Even if the width is right and the weight is right, you are still 1 check away from the expensive mistake. And this is the one almost nobody inspects on a used cutter. If you are getting something out of this, the next minute is the one to stick around for, because owners who skip it pay for it. The third variable is the driveline. The power takeoff shaft, the slip clutch or overspeed coupler, the gearbox, the shields. On a used 5-foot cutter sitting in the weeds with the gearbox crusted in old grease and a rounded off driveline shield, you are not looking at a bargain. You are looking at a list of parts. Over on Orange Tractor Talks, a forum where owners trade close calls, one operator describes a 17-year-old running a 5-foot rotary cutter when an overspeed coupler failed at the PTO shaft and the driven shaft started whipping. I will not turn a forum snippet into an engineering diagnosis, and I will not tell you that exact coupler is the villain. What I will tell you is that a whipping driveline behind a tractor is not theoretical. It is the kind of moment owners remember for the rest of their lives. The cheap cutter is only cheap until that shaft is the wrong shaft for your tractor spline, the wrong length for your hitch geometry, or worn past the point where a slip clutch can do its job. This is the gap between the receipt and the real cost. The $500 used cutter becomes a new PTO shaft, fresh blades, a gearbox seal, slip clutch parts, and an afternoon of dealer labor. Do the math with me. A few hundred here on a shaft, a couple hundred more on the gearbox work, a set of blades and a tail wheel fork on top, and the bill that started under $1,000 quietly climbs through $900 of avoidable spend before your first real pass. That is the $900 mistake in the title, not a guaranteed repair bill. The delta between what you thought you were spending and what the field made you spend. Across a few seasons of mowing, that delta is the difference between a tool you kept and a tool you sold for parts. This is also where the wrong tool question opens up. There is a video out there asking the simplest version of the question for small acreage, flail mower versus rotary cutter for a compact tractor. And the host points out that flail mowers are not as popular as rotary cutters, slashers, bush hogs, or brush hogs. Brush hog and rotary cutter are the same beast under two regional names, by the way, and you will hear both at the counter. The rotary cutter dominates the mental default. That is exactly why the mistake is so common. The default is not always the right tool. If your job is finish edge work along a driveway and around fence lines on slope, the spinning deck is not the only answer. I will not tell you the flail is objectively better. I will tell you the conversation is worth having before you bolt the default onto the back of your tractor. The fourth variable is terrain and frequency, the one that decides whether you bought a tool or a toy. A light-duty cutter, the shiny one parked 20 feet from a heavier brush cutter that looks almost identical from across the lot, is built for grass and light stalks at a fair pace. Park it in waist-high brush with hidden saplings and stumps twice a year, and you are not mowing. You are stress testing a deck that was not designed for that day. The honest buyer matches the cutter to the worst hour of the worst pass on the property they actually own, not the easiest pass on the property they imagine. I will tell you the small overclaim I used to lean on, because conceding it is the trust move. We used to say a tractor that lifts a cutter can run that cutter. That is not quite right. Lifting is one test. Running it all afternoon on a slope in thick material with the tail wheel set right and the driveline aligned is a different test. Lift is geometry. Run is endurance. The arms can win the first and lose the second. The closing check is the one your grandfather already knew. An old conservation district note I keep with me says the maintenance philosophy used to be checking the oil before the breakdown, not waiting for the tractor to fail. That habit is the cheapest insurance the rotary cutter takes. Grease the driveline before you start. Look at the gearbox oil, walk the shields, tighten the tail wheel fork, inspect the blades for cracks before the brush finds them for you. The old timers did not have better steel, they had better habits. So here is the verdict, and it is not a thumbs up or a thumbs down. The rotary cutter is the right tool for plenty of small and mid-sized farms, and the wrong tool for plenty of others, and the difference is not the brand on the deck. It is whether you measured width against your tractor, weight against your terrain, the driveline against your manual, and the work against your patience. Get those 4 right, and the cutter you bring home is a tool you keep for a decade. Get any of them wrong, and the field will collect the difference in pieces. The cutter sits behind the tractor, tail wheel pointed straight now, gearbox topped off, shaft greased, shield bolted on. That is the picture worth driving home with. What is the brand and width of the rotary cutter on your tractor right now? How many hours have you put on it? And what county are you mowing? The right machine for the work is the saving. The wrong one is a mistake you pay for every season.